There's also post office boxes. People can use a post office box and get their mail sent there if they're moving around. So there are a couple of things that a person could do if they're in a transitional situation, if they're moving from place to place. Even if, unfortunately, we have people that are living in their cars, if they are frequenting places to be able to shower or get meals, those are other locations that they can use. Not all of them, but some of them will act as a mailing address. And again, as I said, in some communities, it's really important to just take a look at the laws. So there are communities, again, all you have to do is draw a map, and that can be used as an address. You can't actually get your mail there, but you can also use a intersection. But you do have to have a place to receive information from the voter registration organization in your community.
Oh, thank you so much. And I am so happy to let everyone know that Rommel Sandino, the National Organizing Director of the League of Women Voters U.S., is on the line. And Rommel, welcome back to Igniting Change. It's always great to have you. And what I wanted to ask you, because we just, heard from Eldric about his amazing voter registration in Alabama. We just heard about the rights of the homeless to vote and all the misperceptions and misconceptions about that. But now we want to just get back to the basics. This month is what we call Voting Rights Month. The Congressional Voting Rights Caucus declares it every year as Voting Rights Month. And on the 17th, every third Tuesday of every September, there's what's called National Voter Registration Day. National Voter Registration Day. Rommel, tell people, what is National Voter Registration Day? Why is it important? And how do people get involved?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Barbara and Daryl, it's always such a great joy to be joining you in your show. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'm super excited to be talking about National Voter Registration Day during this month of voting rights. And I would also like to share that our immigrant rights partners have also declared this month Citizenship Month, right? And really intersecting it with voting rights as well. But National Voter Registration Day will be celebrated on Tuesday, September the 17th this month. And this is a civic holiday where all of the civic rights civic engagement organizations that are registering, empowering, educating, engaging, protecting, and mobilizing voters throughout the country in all their local communities, right, are invited to join and make this day a national day of action to encourage and promote voter registration. And so we as a national partner, do encourage our state and local partners and organizations to host events. Go out into the community as one of the speakers was sharing into college campuses, hosting parties, right? Using creative ways to organize events and to engage and register voters in their communities.
And what people need to know, Rommel, is that you don't have to be a trained person to help promote voter registration. I love every year when I get my flyers and posters that I'm able to put up, in the elevators all around our buildings, take them to local grocery stores, restaurants, and ask people to post them, remind people that you've got to vote. But you can't vote if you're not registered. You got to register to vote on time. Did you hear me, people? On time. Every year, Rommel, I sit on the what we call the national hotline for election protection, a program I helped to create back in 2001 when it really took off. And, and 20%, I would say, of all the calls I answer are people saying, I am so frustrated. I'm here at the polling place, and I want to vote, but they say I'm not registered, and I didn't know I needed to register. Rommel, how do we overcome that deep, deep, deep lack of information that people have out there?
That's a very great question you're posing to all of us, Barbara. And I think that in the immediate, we have to be very intentional in how we're engaging voters in our communities. I think that the other question that comes to my mind is, who are those trusted messengers that we want to link arms with, right, to be able to share and provide this very timely and important information and moment to get people to register to vote and be ready to make their voices heard at the polling location, regardless of how they're going to plan to get out to vote, right? If it's through absentee or mail-in ballot, or it's through early voting, or if folks are going to wait until Election Day, we do want to make sure that voters are registered. And so National Voter Registration Day, September 17th, does create this moment, right, in our communities for us to start having these important conversations with our friends, with our families, with our neighbors, right, and leaning into those trusted messengers in our communities to also be having these conversations at their local churches, at their local organizations, at their local grocery stores, to be able to put up flyers, right? And let's not dismiss the power of virtual spaces as well, like our digital spaces, our social media.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so there's going to be a lot of digital activation on September 17th for this civic holiday, but it's also as important to start having those conversations with our personal networks of friends and families. And so as a league, we understand that registering to vote is just the first step in the process, right? And on the 17th, our leagues all across the country, the latest number that I've seen from the league is that we have our leagues are organizing at least 400 events on September the 17th or throughout that week, including more than 70 events at Lush stores in various states across the country. Lush stores that sell a lot of good products. They partnered up with us this year for National Voter Registration Day to allow leagues to register voters as their customers are coming to the stores to purchase their products. So that's super exciting. And we're also partnering up with some local UPS headquarters. For example, in Atlanta, Georgia, where our league on this national civic holiday will be registering employees, staff, customers at the UPS headquarters in Atlanta. So it's super exciting, but registering voters is that first step. The next step that leagues are asking folks is, do you have a voting plan? Because data has shown us time and again that as voters, if voters take the time to really share with you how they're planning to vote and how they're going to get to the polls, right, or what steps they're going to take to be ready to make their voices heard through the ballot, then there's a higher probability that voter is going to get out to vote, right? So that key question of, do you have a voting plan? Are you planning to vote during early voting? Are you planning to vote through absentee or mail-in ballot? Or are you planning to vote on Election Day? That's as important as registering the voters, right? And so we're going to be engaging voters. We're super excited. We hope to register voters, but the follow-up is going to be as important, right? Ensuring that voters have a voting plan, that they're mobilizing to the polls, because there's so many important issues that are on the line and that are on the ballot this year, right? And we have to ensure that voters from our communities, that voter across the country really do mobilize and get to the polls, right, to make their voices heard and to really continue walking towards that vision of creating a more equitable, more accessible, more open democracy that we want to see in this country. And so we're excited because I know with Transformative Justice Coalition, Barbara, Daryl, with other national partners as well, we've been having conversations, right? And National Voter Registration Day is one of those civic holidays that we're all throwing down, and we're excited that all these events are coming together, right? And that we're going deeper into our community.
All right now, and Eldridge. All right now, Eldridge, what are your plans, for National Voter Registration Day? One thing people get confused about, Eldridge, is they say, oh, well, I'm not a registrar, an official person, but they don't understand that there's all these beautiful online resources, such as the League's vote411.org, right? And there's vote.org, and there's whenweallvote.org. There's, iwillvote.com. There's all of these online resources that you can send people to so that they can vote. Tell people what you're going to be doing for National Voter Registration Day.
Yes, ma'am. So actually, we're not just going to limit it to a day. The whole week of voter registration.
There you go. There you go.
We're going to be doing a tour where we're going around we're trying to tackle most of the universities in Alabama, and we're going to go around to different universities, do voter registration drives there, give voter education out, let people know how they could register to vote if they're in different zonings. We're just trying to make sure that people are very aware for this election, because we have to make sure that they're aware, because this election depends on it. So we're trying to make sure that, of course, they're aware of the online tools, such as the websites that you said, such as vote.org and different websites, just telling them and educating them on the election and on different things related to the election.
Wow. And Eldridge, I'm sorry, Daryl, I'm just so excited. Daryl, go ahead. Why don't you take over some of the questions, because I'm just so excited I can barely stop myself. Go ahead.
So, Eldric, one of the interesting things that I thought you pointed out a little earlier was the process that you went through with registering the students that were coming to campus, the new students and returning students, and having voter information available for them to simply fill out and turn in. You also talked about an on-campus polling place. Has Alabama State University always had an on-campus polling place, or is that something new?
Well, actually, that's not new. It's something that we've had for a pretty long time, but usually in the past, we haven't had a great turnout with the on-campus voting and people being registered to an on-campus address. And I'm able to say today that we have probably multiplied that number that was had last year, people who were registered to vote on campus, times 5. So,
wow.
We're trying, like I said, we're trying to get the number up. I think the last election, there was less than maybe 20 people that voted on campus in the Acadome. So we're trying to make sure that people are aware that they can change their voter registration to campus. We've actually had a lot of people who've changed their voter registration because they know, hey, I'm not going home on election day. Let me go ahead and change this because I'm probably not going to do an absentee ballot either. So we motivate them to change this. So we get them to change it on campus, and then they're just able to just walk into the Acadome on voter registration day using their campus address and just go in there and go vote.
And Eldridge, you should know that the only person happier than you are is one Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., because he's always talking about the importance of making sure that students know that they can vote where they go to school, and that it's more likely that they're going to vote locally than it is by absentee. So I'm so glad to hear that. I wanted to turn over to you, Donald, back to you, because, part of what you're doing, you, Eldridge, and, the League of Women Voters are all working with us on the I'll Rise and Vote campaign. Tell people about the special outreach that we're going to be doing as we travel to 12 states, folks. You heard me. We're going to have voter activations. We're going to bring out that John Lewis good